We are Soccerphiles Canada. Check us out by searching International Soccer Preview. Welcome to Series 30, looking at the players of the 2025 Gold Cup. This episode is looking at the players of Panama. Part 2, the selections. Here we go! Section 3, and we want to welcome listeners to the short version of the mediacast, and partly for them, but as a review for others, we are going to do our Spotlight Review, which is where we race through the team at top speed to show who made the squad and who we think the starters will be, our predictions. So let's begin with manager Thomas Christiansen. Been there since 2020, so he will lead them through the tournament. For goalkeepers, we had a definite candidate in Orlando Mosquera. He was selected. However, our likely candidate, Cesar Samudio, surprisingly not selected. We had Luis Mejia as a possible candidate, and he was selected. The surprise is the possible but unlikely J.D. Gunn, selected for the final squad there ahead of Samudio, and there we have it. In terms of starters, well, Orlando Mosquera was a starter for most of the period, but we got another surprise in the two warm-up games in June, where Luis Mejia was the starter in both. So now we think Mejia will be the likely starter and Orlando Mosquera a possible starter. On to defence, and we have a huge list of central defenders. We'll only look really at the ones at the possible level or above, unless we have reason to look at the less likely ones. We have three definite candidates here: Jose Cordoba, Fidel Escobar, and Edgardo Farina, all three of them selected for the final squad. They use a three-man central defence most of the time. That's why there are so many candidates. At the likely level, we have two candidates: Carlos Harvey, who was selected for the final squad. Roderick Miller, though, was not, so another bit of a surprise there. And then two possible candidates, Giovanni Ramos and Martin Krug, both of those selected for the preliminary squad, but not the final squad. Below that, we have 7 candidates at the possible but unlikely level or below. 3 of them actually made the preliminary squad. We're only interested in Andres Andrade, who, after more than a year absent from the team, came back. He seemed to be off the squad, but here he is selected for the final squad. We looked at the warm-up games and revised our opinions as to who the starters will be. So we currently stand with Jose Cordoba as a likely starter, and then it really could be any of the others lining up with him. Again, usually a 3-man defense. So it could be Fidel Escobar, Edgardo Farina, Carlos Harvey, or Andres Andrade. Woo! On we go to the left back position. We have no definite candidate. We have a likely candidate in Eric Davis. He would be definite, except he's been kind of in and out during the period due to injury. Nevertheless, he seems to have overcome that injury and is selected for the final squad. And so is the other likely candidate, Jorge Gutierrez. Both of our possible candidates, though, only making the preliminary squad: Omar Valencia and Gabriel Brown. Bit of a complex situation in our predictions here. We think if Eric Davis is fit, he'll be the likely starter. If he's not, we could either have Jorge Gutierrez or Andre Andrade playing as a left back, or if the position becomes a left mid or left winger position, as it does with the 3-man defense, then we think it could be winger Jose Luis Rodriguez, or, well, it can't be Barcelonez, because we'll soon see that Barcelonez was not selected for the squad, so it would probably be Rodriguez, and it was in the warm-up game, in one of the warm-up games. On to right backs. We have 2 candidates at the definite level: Michael Murillo and Cesar Blackman, and one at the likely level, Ivan Anderson. All 3 of those selected for the final squad. And for predictions, we have Michael Murillo as the likely starter and Cesar Blackman as a possible starter. Actually, they're pretty close to even odds, I would say. On we go to defensive midfielders, and we're going to introduce a player who's actually was all over the field The only position he didn't play was goalkeeper, it seems. So a versatile player, Edgar Yol Barcenas, but a big loss for them. He is injured and not selected even for the preliminary squad. So he's been filling in a lot of gaps for them, but they don't have his services here. An equally big shock coming up in defensive midfielders, with definite candidate Adalberto Carrasquilla not selected for the squad. We're not sure why. The other definite candidate, Annabelle Godoy, selected for the final squad there. Our likely candidate, Abdiel Ayarza, also surprisingly not selected for the squad. We did look into why these players weren't selected, but couldn't find a reason. So we have possible candidate Edward Cedeno selected for the squad. There. So let's do the other positions. I should mention we have newcomer Victor Griffith, not really a newcomer, but had been off the squad for quite a while, but reintroduced to the squad here, probably because of the absence of Carrasquilla and Ayarza. We'll finish the midfield candidates. For central midfielders, we have Christian Martinez as a definite candidate. He was selected, and that's all we'll talk about there, except when we get to right midfielders, we have a possible candidate in Cesar Yanis, and he was selected for the final squad. All of the candidates I'm ignoring there are at the possible but unlikely level or below, so we won't trouble ourselves with those. In terms of predicted starters, well, of course we would have said Carrasquilla as a starter, but now he's not available, so we think Christian Martinez and Annabelle Godoy will be the likely pairing in the midfield. All the way up to attacking midfielders here, and we begin with left attackers, where we have a definite candidate in Jose Luis Rodriguez, and no candidates at the likely level. Sorry, I should have said Rodriguez was selected as expected. No candidates at the likely level, but 4 possible candidates. The first 2, Ismael Diaz and Jean-Paul Morales, were selected. The second 2, Cahizer Lenis and Freddy Gondola, just making the preliminary squad. Our predictions on this side, again, not confident enough to say a definite starter, but likely we think Jose Luis Rodriguez. He also plays on the right side too, and actually as the forward in the most recent game, so he's pretty versatile. But we'll call him the likely starter here, and a possible starter, Ismael Diaz. On the right side, we only have one candidate, and that is at the definite level. It's Jose Fajardo, actually coded as a forward, but playing over here during this period. He was selected for the final squad, even though he didn't appear in the 2 June World Cup qualifying games recently. However, even despite that, we still think of Jose Fajardo as the likely starter, and winger Jose Luis Rodriguez also a possible starter over here, as he is on the left. No, we have him as likely on the left. Central attacking midfielder, they don't use the position much, only once over the whole period until the recent warm-up games or World Cup qualifiers, where they used the position twice. It would have been Yol Barcenas, except he's out injured, and it's we're pretty sure it's right midfielder Cesar Yanis if they use a formation with that position. On we go to the forward line. We actually do have one player as a secondary striker at the possible level, Thomas Rodriguez, but and he was selected actually for the final squad there. And finally, we have forwards, none at the definite level. There is Jose Fajardo, who did play as a forward during this period, though. At the likely level, we have Eduardo Guerrero, and he was selected, as was our possible candidate Cecilio Waterman. He too was selected. Below that, at the possible but unlikely level or below, we had one player selected from players we thought seemingly off the squad, and that is Azarias Londono. So that's a bit of a surprise. That brings us to the end of our Spotlight Review. Check us out by searching International Soccer Preview. We would like to thank Future Bass for the wonderful music you hear in this podcast. The title is called Alone.